What's going on, you guys? Welcome to an all-new episode of the NerdUp podcast. I'm your host, Nicotina, joined by Ryan Doobie, creator of the Nephilim. And you can find him over at Zever Comics on X, Instagram, or go to zevercomics.com to buy his fucking comic, which is going to be really, really cool. I bought one. I'm excited for it. Ryan, what's going on, dude?
Hey, what's up, everybody? I am Ryan.
Okay, so here we go. No, go ahead. What's up, Ryan, and what you been up to, man?
Yeah, man. No, hey, dude, you know what? I've got this exciting thing for me. It's exciting for me, but I'm excited for you guys because I get to share it finally. But I'm making a new thing on the website. If you go to zevercomics.com, I have a new section on there that I'm going to start putting out one pages, one sheets of the comic book. But not of the, it's basically the comic book character in different situations. Has nothing to do with the comic book itself, but just the character himself, the Nephilim, and just kind of how he kind of interacts with people and all that. So I'm really looking forward to that. That's coming out this Saturday on zevercomics.com. Check it out. It's called Super Shorts.
Yeah! That was legitness.
Yeah, it was. Huh?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was, huh? So definitely check that out. So, guys, we got an action-packed show. We got a lot of things to talk about. A lot of news from DC, Star Wars, the new Harry Potter fiasco. We're going to cover that. Some updates on Lord of the Rings, which all of a sudden has been like resurrected and coming back, which is like, what? I didn't even know this was happening, but it is. So I'm excited. And of course, we're going to talk about none other than the 10-year anniversary of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. I always call it Batman vs. Superman. This is, without a doubt, one of my favorite movies. A very divisive film. You know, I think some CBM fans would say it's like the Last Jedi of comic book movies. I don't think it is.
It was around the same time.
No, it was not around the same time. This came out in 2016.
Yeah,
when did
and Last Jedi came out? What, 2018?
Was it? God, is that long ago?
Yes. They haven't fixed their shit in
2017.
Like
2017.
Yeah, so 20. There you go, even closer. 2016 and then 2017, and that's because I used to have a show with my son a long time ago, Zeverfet, and
Does he look like a bitch?
No. He didn't. And so we would get together and we talk fucking movies, trailers, all that kind of stuff. And then the BVS came out, and that was like, okay.
The BVS
came out. In theaters, we went and saw it, and very underwhelming to go see it in theaters. And after seeing the Doomsday trailer, we were just like, what did we just watch? Simply because of the way it was cut. Because months later, like 3 months later, I think they released the Ultimate Edition. And you could watch that, and we were like, oh, well, this made more sense. I actually dig this movie now.
Yeah.
And then, we watched The Last Jedi, and we're like, okay, we're kind of done with streaming. This is stupid.
Well, so when it came to BVS, like, I saw it in the theater, and I remember feeling like, even though I think it was 2 hours, or what, it was 2 hours.
It was, yeah.
But it felt like it was rushed. I remember by the time it got to the Superman-Batman fight, I remember feeling like, oh shit, we're already here? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It just seemed like something was missing from the movie. And I thought, man, this is kind of the pacing of this film is kind of weird, Yeah. But I like the movie in general, but something was off. And then the very next day after I got home from watching the movie in the theater, what do I see on the internets? The fucking Steppenwolf scene that was cut out of the movie. And I was like, wait a minute. What the fuck? Like, why was that cut out? Why was that cut out? We know now it was cut out because, for one, the movie was too long. So there was a ultimate cut that later came out, which they announced that like soon after the film came out. Oh, guess what? There's going to be an ultimate cut that comes out on home video and DVD release.
Yeah, it was almost as if they knew that no one, it wasn't the what they released the theatrical release wasn't palatable. So they were like, oh man, everybody's like not really going to the movies in droves to see this thing, and they're not coming out like with rave reviews. And what they did was they did the same thing to the Justice League movie later, but they cut it down to where they were like, we can get more butts in seats if we have more viewings, we have more showings, we can get more butts in seats, make that money, make that Marvel money, and that's the problem. Is like, bro, this wasn't Marvel. We're not doing that. James Gunn is kind of doing that now. He's like, as Marvel, but like edgy. You know, it was like,
yeah, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show when we get to our main topic. But I mean, the film itself, people would say, "Oh, it didn't do $1 billion because Batman and Superman didn't do a million or $1 billion," but it did do $873.6 million, so almost $900 million. And if you account for inflation, no, but overall though, that's actually really good compared to what the films are doing now. That's great. I mean, a lot of the films that come out now are doing like $600 million. You know what I mean? Like $500 million. They're just the movie theater is not what it used to be.
It's not.
And
we have COVID to thank for that.
Well, but then again, removing 30 minutes of the movie to make it just 2 hours is absolutely ridiculous.
You're removing
absolutely ridiculous
in a movie that has the type of pacing that is sort of slow story building and shit like that. You know, it's not just, it's not an action film. It's not a Schwarzenegger,
well, you had to do world building by the second movie because you didn't have a choice. Because here's the thing: Zack Snyder has gone on the record saying that his plan was to do a Brainiac movie that would have had Superman and Brainiac as a solo concept, but basically a Man of Steel 2. And I remember the interview. He was doing a panel, and it was after the panel was over. They asked him on the side, like, "Hey, so what do you think about Justice League?" And he's like, "Well, I think before we do that, we have to do Man of Steel 2. That should be what we focus on." And that's what he wanted to do, was to build up Superman, which James Gunn's kind of doing that, but not really.
At the end of the Man of Steel 2, he was going to have a case of kryptonite be delivered to the Wayne Mansion.
Yes,
and that was a sort of slow
segue
build up. Yeah, slow build up to the creme de la creme Batman versus Superman. Sort of interaction. You want your audience, because at the end of Man of Steel, like, he had just sort of got his footing and all that kind of stuff, but they needed a movie that sort of solidified him as Superman and beloved and all that kind of stuff. And all they did was in BVS, they gave him sort of a montage, and the montage just didn't work. It didn't work to build that rapport with the audience and connectivity and say, hey, you know what? I like this guy. We've seen him as Superman and look at all the great things he's doing. He's pulling a fucking, large oil rig or whatever, or oil freighter or whatever, through the ice. And he's, saving people that are in a sort of a tsunami or flood, situation or whatever. And it's just like
tsunami. Come on,
whatever it was. And it was like, and I don't know what fucking, people are going to say, hey, let's get some white paint and put the Superman symbol on top of our roof. Like, bro, how much time do you have? And people that are panicked. I don't know. Anyway, but the montage just didn't.
Oh, I know. They're like, make sure you bring the white paint
and make sure it's an S for hope. Like, no, bro, it's like, bro, if you're panicked, you're not going to be doing that. And like, bro, why are you just reaching your hand out to him? Like, fucking come here. I'd be like, I wouldn't be like, I'd be like, the fuck over here. We gotta go. We're gonna die.
We gotta go.
And he's just kind of hovering above him, like, I'm here.
Well, it was supposed to be.
I get it. I understand. I'm making fun of it.
I know you are. You're making light of it. I get that.
Making light. So, I mean, but like I said, just that quick montage was not enough for the fans to say, hey, you know what? I'm not saying the fans have already invested in Man of Steel and were already liking BVS and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, the normal, Marvel, fans that are kind of coming over and watching the epic Superman Batman movie, and they're just like, I just don't care yet. You got to give them that, you got to give them that, and Man of Steel 2 would have done that.
Yeah, it would have, and if you would have sprinkled in Batman into Man of Steel 2,
they should have done that as well.
That would have been really, really cool. But Warner Brothers was so focused on, hey, how do we get to Justice League? How do we get to Justice League? Yeah. And that's where they really fucked up, because it's like, hey, you started something really cool, Man of Steel. Now you had something to build off of, and then you fucked it up. Because you forced, so now you force Zack to fit in all these other characters to set up Justice League, as opposed to just doing a Man of Steel 2, where you spend more time with the team over in Metropolis. You spend more time with Martha Kent, and then you slowly start, incorporating hints and touches of other characters in the DC universe. And okay, this is a bigger world. It's not just Superman, nobody else.
But then again, they shoehorned another montage of okay, here's Aquaman, here's the Flash, here's Cyborg, and it was like, dude, you're shoehorning this stuff in when you could have organically grown it, just like the Marvel movies did. They organically grew it and got people on board, but they didn't want to do that, and that really shot them in they shot themselves in the foot, to the point where it's like now the James Gunn guy is like, you know what, we're not even going to do that. Everybody's just already here. Who gives a shit? Let's just go. I don't care.
Well, I mean, but I don't blame him for not starting from scratch and doing like a rebuild of a world, because everyone's seen that already. And,
how many times can you kill Martha Wayne? You know.
Yeah, how many times can you do it?
Martha, not again.
Not again. Not again. Okay,
Pearl clutching.
Before we get to our rapid fire news, I'm going to kind of change things up. I got some stuff that I do want to show you guys. And stuff that I think Ryan will find pretty fascinating. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to start off with another AI takeover. And let's go to that right now. AI takeover. Okay, this one's really cool, so check this one out. And this reminds me of Project Justice League. It really does. I think somebody watched Project Justice League and thought, or read the storyboards and thought, I'm going to do something like that. So here we go. This is what Project Justice League Battle would have looked like if we had more money and more technology at our disposal. Isn't that cool?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's like, fuck. That was cool.
Oh, it says watch again.
I know. I'm not going to watch it again. But what'd you think about that one?
I liked a lot of it. I think the funniest part about these AI things is when they stop doing whatever it is that's the cool thing, and then they go to just like hand-to-hand fist combat. It's like,
yeah.
It just looks so silly.
I know.
But, I mean, everything else, like the constructs, dude, way better than anything the Ryan Reynolds guys did. Just the train, the Thor's hammer, all that shit. And that would have been a cool little thing that they did, just like, put in a construct of, Thor's hammer, just to kind of like, have some fun with a Marvel property.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Like,
who cares? It's fucking, construct.
But it was cool though. I liked it.
Cool.
It did remind me of Project Justice League, when they were shooting at each other, and I was like, man,
I think that's where they got it from.
They had to have, dude, because that wasn't even in the storyboard. Like we created that scene.
We created that shot, yes,
and we did it in inspired by the Doomsday Superman shot. So we're like, we're gonna do something like that,
right?
And that's what they did too. So it was pretty cool. Okay, I got one more I'm gonna show you, and I don't know, I don't know if this is like a the Dark Knight Returns sequel, like a Nolan's Batman, but part 4. The video I'm going to show you right now. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I don't even know why I'm showing it. But here we go. Here's the video, and let's check it out.
Took you long enough. Thought you'd already found a buyer.
You can't stay here.
I'm dead. Dead men don't need doctors.
Shut up. This dump doesn't look like the cemetery you'd pick. You're not dying in a garage. Not on my watch. Give me a name.
Leslie.
What?
Leslie Tompkins.
Like, where are they?
They're in that building. Remember that building?
I know, but still, it's just hella random. Like, whoa, what?
Bro. What?
But who's the lady?
That's Leslie Tompkins.
I guess she's a doctor.
Dr. Leslie Tompkins. Wow.
I mean, that looks pretty real.
I mean, that was very interesting to see AI do something like that.
Mind working overtime
The fuck?
tonight, Doctor?
I just sold your bike and got a very generous price from Fox.
That's fraud, for sure.
A gentleman like Bruce
Who
Wayne
is he
would
looking at?
never ask a lady to return his gifts. Besides, a clean slate only gets the new identity. I still need money to pay my new life.
So, what's next for the lady who has new identity?
Maybe a fashion editor or an actor. It'd be a crime if I let this face go to waste.
Better start with a crime film then.
So what are you? A pro racer? Or are you just gonna drive me crazy?
Oh. Can you register a new identity for me too? I mean, we're both nobody now.
Is this a proposal, Mr. Wayne?
I mean, I was like, holy shit. That's like,
But he sounds too giddy.
well, I mean, it's AI, but like when you look
Give me a
at
new
like,
name. Like,
but when you look at it though, it's pretty incredible what
I
it can
like
actually
some of the
do.
subtleties that it did. That was really
Yeah.
cool. You know, some
And-
of the difference, like look at my face. I'm like, look.
Well, and the thing about too is like we're still in like the infancy of AI.
Sure.
And think about by the time we're senior citizens, which for you is only like a couple of years,
This is a couple of years.
it's gonna be like full on movies, dude.
Yeah.
And,
Sure. And you know what? As long as they have some production value to it, you know, like when you get into those things, like we were looking at with like, you know, Superman, where it was so awesome, and then they went to hand-to-hand combat, and that looks stupid. You know, once they like figure that shit out, like I don't mind seeing something like that. It's an animated film, basically, right?
Yeah.
You know, there are, and I still believe that there should be, you know, people that make films and all that, you know, and still, you know,
Well, yeah,
create
obviously.
the craft or
But
whatever.
what's going to be
But-
tough is that as AI gets better, you're going to have more people that are essentially amateurs that are going to be making these films, and they're only going to get more detailed. They're going to get longer,
Right.
And they're going to be coming out to where studios can't control them now. We saw that there was that one. I didn't bother to report on it today, but I might as well. You saw that Disney decided to back out of their AI
I did see that.
that they were going to invest in, and honestly,
Open AI.
what's that?
It was called Open AI.
Open AI,
Yeah.
and I think I don't know. Part of me feels that like maybe they did that because they saw how many films or how many videos that people are making. They're just like, you know what, we don't want any part of this anymore because now it's got such a negative stigma
Yeah.
to a lot of people. For me, I don't give a shit. Like if it looks cool, that's
Yeah.
all I care about.
Yeah.
And so that one, the Dark Knight one, I thought it's kind of boring, yeah, but like I thought it was cool just to see like maybe what could have happened afterwards. But it was just cool to see. The other one was just fun to watch. Superman
sure,
versus
sure.
Green Lantern. It was like Henry Cavill and then like a totally like fake looking Green Lantern because
I knew it
really
was
hasn't been
you know,
one.
supposed to be sort of like Ryan Reynolds or whatever, which you know I was never personally never on board with. But I think that it with the AI, you know, prompts and all that stuff, you know, it greatly and it severely depends on who is behind the helm, who is typing in, you know, these prompts, because I have seen a whole lot that are just completely horrible. That are and it's only because, you know, whoever's typing these things out, they either they don't understand nuance, they don't understand how to tell a story or anything like that. They're just like, yeah, put this and then this and this is cool and maybe, you know, whatever. And it's like, okay, well, that's not, you're not going to get anywhere with that. You know, it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like a child, right? You know, and a lot of people's society today, they have the minds of a child, right? So, you know, they go in there and they don't have any sort of storytelling experience and they expect AI just to kind of do it all for them. I think that they're, you know, that's what you would call AI slop.
AI slop. There it is. All right, guys, let's move on to our first topic in our rapid fire news round. And we're going to start with some news from the upcoming series Harry Potter on HBO Max. Or is it HBO Max or just Max?
Yes.
We're losing viewers. Okay, so this is your first look at the new Harry Potter series. They released this image yesterday. I think there's a trailer out today.
Cool.
We're not gonna be able to watch it on here because they'll take it down. I haven't seen it online yet. Maybe I'm missing it, but I'll definitely watch it later on. Yeah. But there is Harry heading towards a Quidditch match. Harry. I love Harry Potter. I'm a huge fan of Harry Potter. I've seen all the movies like a bajillion times with my kids. It's a great series. Now, HBO Max is making their own series, and they're going to tell the story like in long form, but they better hurry up because these kids are going to start getting older pretty soon. And they also did announce that they are not doing a season per year. They're gonna it's not gonna be like every year a new season. I guess they're gonna kind of space it out a little bit. So I don't know really what they're gonna do. But
Harry Potter's gonna be a fucking 20s when he's
like, oh, Hermione. So that was your first look. That looks cool. Hey, they're going to the Quidditch match.
I mean, that's as cool as a cosplay photo. Somebody just walking around. That doesn't give me anything.
It doesn't give you much.
That's somebody in a fucking cloak. Who gives a shit?
Even the snow looks fake. And then you got.
I bet the snow is fake.
One of the most controversial topics coming out of Harry Potter, which is the race swap of Severus Snape. Have you heard about this?
I have heard about it.
So they race swapped him with this guy. His name is Papa
Giorgio.
Papa New Guinea. Oh, you mean Mr. Papa Giorgio? Papa Esidu.
Okay.
Esidu. Anyway, they race swapped him with this. With this guy.
Yes.
Now, in the books, he is a pale white guy. That's how they describe him, and you can see what's his name, Alan Rickman, I think his name was. He played Hans Gruber. He did a fantastic job as Severus Snape. I mean,
loved him as Hans.
I loved him as Hans as well. Did a great job. Loved it.
Yeah.
But to change him to an African American, to me, again, you're going on the same route as Wheel of Time, as Star Wars, as like Disney Star Wars, sure. I should say,
even fucking DC,
where you're race swapping characters Marvel. For no reason. You're doing it to
even out the roster,
but still, it's like stay faithful to the source material because there are fantastic characters that are African American or black, however you want to say it. There are fantastic characters that are Snape Asian.
From Africa.
There are fantastic characters that are, that are Latino, that are already written and made in these universes, in these lores. But yet Hollywood wants to try and make changes because I don't know, because they want to play it safe. They want to say, hey, look, we get people of color in our show.
It's all the representation. That's all it is, man. It's like, bro, look, these are characters. These are fictional characters.
Characters.
It's like, bro, this dude right here, make him fucking, I know it's a different company altogether, but just, make him, either fucking, what's his name from Marvel? The one they just, got rid of, the guy, Majors. Give him his role, Kang. Make him fucking Kang, if you need, Kang to be a black guy or fucking, give me some more fucking Black Panther. I mean, shit, I'd love to see more Black Panther movies. The fuck,
I'm sorry, I ruined your Black Panther party.
Oh, and the second one wasn't even one. It was just like what do we do now that the actor is
was
gone?
like, let's cry about him being dead.
For the whole movie.
And then we'll show you that he has a son. And we're going to do the Young Avengers, but we're not because we canceled all that. Okay, so when you look at the two of them side by side, here you are. They even gave him the long hair. And he was like, whoa, what? What are we doing here?
Bro. What they did is they oh my God. They gave him, oh my goodness. I mean, I'm sorry, but with his eyebrows,
does he straighten his hair every day?
He's got that soul and glow.
Kal-El, no.
Kal-El, no. But yeah, no, that looks ridiculous.
It looks ridiculous. And look, I'm sure he's a great actor. I'm taking nothing away from his acting ability and his ability to portray the character. I'm sure he'll do a great job. But already it's like, why do you start controversy before the show is even out?
I think that's the reason, so that people will talk about it. If this is some random white dude, they'd be like, how can he fill the shoes of Hans Gruber? I was like, now it's like, we're not even talking about that. We're just like, why the race swap? Like, what's the point?
And then
like,
now
I need a character in my series to be the villain, but then also to be the hero at the end. Like, oh, okay, great. Yeah, okay, I see what you're doing. Okay, great.
And then people now are making comparisons to the guy from Outcast.
Yes, it is exactly what
I
was thinking this dude. I forget something 3000.
Andre 3000. Thanks a lot, asshole.
Yeah, Andre. How would I forget?
How would
Andre
you forget?
3000, and then he has a fucking Ice Cube eyebrows. Look at his eyebrows. Look like fucking Ice Cube.
I was like, when I saw this, I was like, oh my god, he looks just like him.
He looks just
Jesus.
like it. I mean, that deserves a retweet. I don't see why you didn't. I mean, are you afraid? You chicken?
I'm afraid. I'm scared.
Click it.
I mean, I almost feel like you should have just kept him like this.
I knew it.
You know what I mean? Like, you should have kept him like this.
Sure. I would have respected him more if they just kept him looking just normal. Fine. Great.
But
why
then they
do you
went
need
to
the
this
fucking goofy ass hair? Yes.
Yeah.
Why do you need
Even
that?
when he does it, Andre 3000, it's like, oh, that's kind of weird. You know? But I mean, his name is Andre 3000. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's just a little weird. I don't
It
quite
is.
get it. But they're not done yet because they've also race swapped none other than Hermione Granger.
Wow.
Hermione Granger is now a Hispanic girl. Okay. I thought all three of these kids were from England.
Well, Hispanics can travel the seas.
I know, but why are we doing that for? Like,
Well, we know why.
we know why,
We
but it's
know
kind of
why.
like just.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
this is the new Hermione Granger.
Uh-huh. Well, when they make her Hermione Gonzalez.
Hermione Gonzalez, here she is.
Hola, chicas.
And then here's the whole cast. So they kept what's his name?
The redhead. Well, usually redheads get swapped for black kids. So that means
Yeah, he lucked out right now.
lucked out. You don't know how much you lucked out, bro.
I'm telling you, like,
Hold
if
on
he's
to
a
those
redhead, he should have been a black guy.
Oh my god! Wow! Oh my god!
There was Ron and Hermione on the couch.
All grown up.
So they did that, and then you got Harry Potter right here in the middle. And we'll see how they do, but I don't understand why you race swap Hermione Granger, who is such
It's
an
that
iconic character.
representation thing,
But that's
because,
like,
where's
I know,
where's our
but
Hispanics at?
why does representation override the main characters of the story? And it's like, if you were to
I'm surprised
reboot,
Hagrid isn't Asian.
but here's the thing. But here's the thing. It almost feels like if they were to say, hey, fuck it, we're gonna reboot Star Wars, they would make Leia like black, or they'd make Han Solo a black guy. And you're just like,
I think they should.
Why
I
are
think
we
they
done?
should. Let's go.
I mean, they made Severus Snape a black guy. It was kind of like, and not only that, but like, he's the villain. You know what I mean? So
No, not that he's the hero at the end of the
at the end of the whole thing, but he's gonna be a bad
the
guy
hero.
throughout. Oh, he's questioning Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Is he gonna have an English accent? He better.
If he has an English accent, that'd be great.
He's like, hey, yo, man, what you doing, huh? Like, oh no.
Hey, Harry, peep this.
I'm from the inner cities of.
I see what you do, and I almost got with your mother.
I'm from the inner city of London.
I could have been your father, but you can just call me your brother.
I grew up in the mean streets of Hogsmeade.
Hogsmeade. Oh fuck. Here, let me rap to you, John Lithgow.
You never seen Spring Break till you've been to Hogsmeade in summer. Oh God!
Swish and flick, brother. Swish and flick.
Okay, so check this out. Somebody made a video. It's AI. So I should probably play the AI takeover video, but I'm not. It's an AI video, and it shows all the new characters next to the new castings of their
new
characters.
cast.
The new style.
Yeah.
So let's go to this right now. And I turned the sound off because it's got music, so I don't want to get hit with copyright, even though I probably will somewhere down the line. And here it is right here. Okay, so there you have Daniel Radcliffe, and you have... Oh, shit.
Oh,
you have the new actor, Dominic McLaughlin.
Oh.
If Hedwig ends up being a black owl, I'm going to be like, guys, come on.
No,
There's Hermione.
It'll be
And look,
a different
there's
owl.
the other
Yeah.
Hermione, Hermione Gonzalez.
Oh, no.
Okay, there's Ron Weasley,
Uh-huh.
and there's the new Ron Weasley. That works.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But I'm saying, like, that works.
That looks...
Okay, so here's Draco Malfoy,
Okay,
Tom
okay.
Felton,
There you
and I
go.
actually like this one. Lox Pratt.
Oh, but he's got the fucking Limu haircut.
I know, but I'm fine with it. You know, it's a different look. Ginny Weasley, I thought
she's redhead. She's going to be black.
I thought this was a clear upgrade. Clear upgrade. The really original Ginny Weasley, I thought just looked weird. Albus
John
Dumbledore,
Lithgow.
played by Michael Gambon, who's dead now, and there's John
There you
Lithgow.
go.
I love John Lithgow.
Sure.
I'm always a big fan of him. So he's
Yeah.
like, get that out of my face. Thank you.
Whoa.
Wow. Rubius Hagrid. Okay, Robbie Coltrane was the best. Nick Frost, he's a little shorter, so they screwed that up.
Yeah.
But that works.
Well, no, I mean, this is AI, though, so who
Yeah.
knows?
Miss
Minerva
McGonagall. And the new
that's not
McGonagall.
bad.
Yeah.
They wear glasses. Fucking bitches.
Ugh.
Oh, wait, hold on. Severus Snape, and then another white guy. Like, wait, who the fuck is that? Watch out, he's gonna rob you.
Straight out of Compton.
Oh, what?
Professor
They have
Quirrell?
Yeah.
And look, he looks. Look at it's like pretty spot on. Like, okay, Professor Quirrell.
Ooh. Did
They're
you
like-
see what he would have looked like in pre-production with the head on the back? It was so fucking nasty.
Madam Hooch.
Madam Hooch.
They could have went in a lot of different directions
Oh.
with this character, but they would,
Okay.
it looks fine.
Okay.
And then
like
Miss
the old one.
Madam Pomfrey, old
Nobody
white woman,
cares.
and an old white woman. There we go.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Is that it? That's it.
That's it. That's the end of it.
That's it.
So they only race swap 2 of them. So at least there's that.
What are they going to do with Gary Oldman? Bro.
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman's character?
Who was he?
He was fucking the uncle. He was the fucking, what's his name? The wolf.
He was not. That was not Gary Oldman. You idiot.
That was Gary Oldman.
No, it was not. It's the same guy who plays Ares in Wonder Woman.
What?
You're an idiot. Dude.
Ares? No, you idiot. No, that's the werewolf. I'm talking about Sirius Black, idiot.
Oh, Sirius Black.
Yeah, that was fucking Gary Oldman. I was like,
Yeah, that was Gary Oldman. You said the wolf. I was
He's
like,
a
what?
wolf.
He is a
Remember
wolf.
his-
He turns
Yeah,
into
okay,
a real
okay.
wolf.
All right,
Gary Oldman's character
nerddom.
probably hasn't even been cast yet, and they even said, what's his name, Casey
They might not get to
Bloys.
it.
Casey Bloys already said that they have not cast the actor that will play Voldemort. Which I'm like, what the fuck are you waiting for? You know what I mean? Like, so
Well, they did the same thing with what's his face. They didn't didn't have anybody. And
Ray
it was
Fiennes.
The same thing with Thanos. They went through a couple different, people before they landed on what's his face.
Are you excited? Okay, let's go with this. Are you excited for the new Harry Potter series?
No,
Really? I am.
I don't care about witches and warlocks.
I like Harry Potter, so I know my kids are going to want to watch it, so I want to see how it looks. So we'll see. Also, one of the things they said too was that Hermione Granger is going to have a scene where she gets her acceptance letter to Hogwarts, which was never even it was never in the books. So they're creating scenes now, like all right, we're going to.
Well, they did that in the movies too. They did. There was some.
Let's
scene-
go.
What's up, Jason? They had some. What was that? Oh,
it was the top.
what's
one.
up, South Cali guy?
South Cali guy. Hey, what's good?
87.
Happy 10-year anniversary, BVS, as a DC fan who got to participate in the making of this film. I'm glad I got to be a part of CBM history that shook and changed the genre forever. I thought he was talking about BVS. I was like, what? He was talking about Zack Snyder Justice League. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's your dose of Harry Potter, but oh my God, Ryan, I wish I could say it stops there.
More
But it
Harry
does-
Potter.
But it didn't. No, well, not quite. Not quite. It just gets worse.
Oh, no.
Really. Because not only is Harry Potter coming back,
Okay.
but Lord of the Rings is
Oh,
also
no.
making a return. And now I would
Wait.
say, like, oh, well, this is awesome. I love Lord of the Rings.
Is that the Gollum thing?
But the what was it? What was the one they just did? The Hobbit series? I thought was kind of lame.
No.
Hold on, I'm not done yet. I know. Hold on. Let me get there, dude. Calm down. The Hobbit series was kind of lame, but now we're doing another movie called The Search for Gollum, and there's going to be more. Let's go to the announcement from none other than Peter Jackson as we move on to our next topic.
Hi, Peter.
Hey, Stephen.
Oh, God.
Buddy, I thought it was time to give you all a Hunt for Gollum update. The first
He looks like shit.
of many that we'll do, little blogs along the way. And Andy Serkis has been busy designing the film. He's going to direct it and obviously play Gollum.
He's already in mocap.
We've got a lot of the old team back again,
write it.
familiar faces and some new faces. But Andy's doing a terrific job. It's looking amazing. The script is coming together really well, and I think it's going to be a really good film. Really good film. But that is not the only Tolkien movie that we're developing. We've actually got another film that we'll be making after Hunt for Gollum. So I thought I should tell you a little bit about that. Actually, why don't I get somebody else to explain it? Because we've got a very special partner that we're working with. And you can see for yourself. Hang on. There we go. Hello.
Hi, Peter.
Oh,
Why would this be something
this guy.
special? Was he an Epstein Island pervert?
I believe he's. I don't like this guy. Anyway,
Steven, hi, how are you?
How you doing?
He knows a lot about this shit.
Good. I like all your Tolkien stuff on the wall there. That's that's
Oh, thanks. This is just part of the collection.
So I was just explaining to the folks
yourself.
about the next Tolkien movie after Hunt for Gollum, and the fact that we've partnered up with you to develop the script. So
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. Should I tell people what the story is?
as much as you want. Yep.
Why would you have this guy involved?
Again, it's they all fuck each other. I don't care.
I will, as much as I can. You know what the books mean to me and what your films mean to me. But the thing I found myself reading over and over again were the 6 chapters early on in the Fellowship that y'all never developed into the first movie back in the day. It's basically the chapter is Three is Company through Fog on the Barrow Downs. And I thought, oh, wait, maybe that could be its own story that could fit into the larger story. Could we make something that was completely faithful to the books while also being completely faithful to the movies that you guys had already made? And I started talking it over with my son, Peter, who's also a screenwriter. And we worked out what we thought would
I named him after you, Peter Jackson.
work, especially as a framing device for that story. And it took me a few years to scrape my courage into a pile to give you a call. But about 2 years ago, I did. You liked it enough to talk to me about it. And ever since then, the two of us have been working with the brilliant Philippa Boyens on how to develop this story. And we recently took it to Richard Brenner at New Line and Pam Abdi. And
Okay, whatever. All right, so what they're talking about is the new Lord of the Rings movie with this fuckface, Colbert, which I thought he was an Epstein Island fucking pervert, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure. It says Stephen Colbert is writing the Lord of the Rings Shadow of the Past, working title, which will go into production after The Hunt for Gollum. The synopsis: 14 years after the passing of Frodo. Oh, so this is a fucking sequel. Are you fucking kidding me?
He took something that was in the middle of Lord of the Rings and is putting it at the end.
14 years after the passing of Frodo, Sam, Merry, and Pippin set out to retrace the first steps of their adventure. Meanwhile, Sam's daughter, Eleanor, she's going to be the main character, has discovered a long-buried secret and is determined to uncover why the War of the Ring was very nearly lost before it began. I don't.
Is this going to be like one of those things where it's like, she finds out information and then all of a sudden it goes into like a flashback, of
no, what it's going to be is she's going to find out information that's going to fucking shit on Frodo and make him like a fucking total piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, wait, Frodo Baggins? He's the reason why all the women and children were sacrificed? Oh my God,
molested my father.
He's a monster. Basically, at the end of this, you're gonna find out that like Aragorn is a fucking pervert, and
Gollum was the real hero.
Yeah, Gollum was the real hero, and what's his face? The dwarf was like into like bestiality. The fucking what's his
Legolas?
Legolas was like fucking.
He was a pimp.
He was a. You know what I mean? It's gonna shit on everybody.
Yeah.
And then Gollum will be like the main hero of the story. It's gonna be like, oh my god.
You know who they're gonna cast as the Samwise's kid? That bitch from fucking Snow White.
Oh god, what was her name?
Zellweger, is that her name?
Renee Zellweger. No, that's not it. Rachel Ziegler.
Okay, it was
Renee Zellweger. That's from fucking. She was in like Jerry Maguire.
Jerry Maguire. That's right.
Rachel Ziegler. Yeah, she's gonna be the fucking daughter. Like, ha ha. I bet you anything. They're gonna find a way to shit on Frodo, shit on fucking Bilbo. They're gonna find out Bilbo was like a fucking like an alcoholic.
Well, what's so funny is like they're releasing all these videos of like, you know, the four hobbits, you know, Samwise and Pippin and Frodo and the other guy, I forget his name, but they're at like conventions now signing shit, you know, and everything like that. So they're like, we're about to fucking shit on your legacy. We're about to fucking take a huge dump on Gondor.
WB's like, we're taking notes from Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah. They're like, Leslie Headland will be directing.
She'll be the main screenwriter. She'll be the director of this movie. I mean, when you got this fuckface involved, I'm like, dude, he runs a late night show, and like, let's face it, late night shows like Jimmy Kimmel, this show, they're fucking. It's a dying race. That's like
nobody.
That's like a dinosaur.
Those people anymore, man.
Nobody watches that shit.
Gives a shit.
I mean, and they can't even joke about anything without being threatened to be fired. So it's like you can't take it seriously.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't sound bad if Peter likes the script. Well, I mean, he could be paid to like it too.
But bro, whoa. He made The Hobbit. He fucking pushed The Hobbit. The last, you know, it was supposed to be 2 films, and they moved it into 3 films, and it wasn't as good as what he had done first. I think if he had done The Hobbit first or whatever, or back when he was in his prime, I think it would have been better. But the Hobbit series just was not as good as Lord of the Rings, and he added so much more just to connect the Hobbit to Lord of the Rings. It's cool that he got all the actors and all that kind of shit, but I think I would have preferred what's that other guy's name that they had as the director, Guillermo del Toro.
Zack Snyder.
No, Guillermo del Toro. I think that his Hobbit would have been better.
Yeah, it's probably it would have been a little more edgier as well.
It would have been darker. It would have been.
And I think that, you know, this is a case too where when they made The Hobbit, they were like, man, everyone's so enamored by Lord of the Rings, people are going to come in droves to see this, and in reality, it was kind of like, When I watched it, I was like, I'm already over this, you know?
The only thing that this thing has, yes, everybody.
It's like Avatar. No one can get away from Avatar. And then it comes out and everyone's like, yeah, I'll go see it, I guess.
So there are a lot of people that do know that Steven, is a huge Tolkien fan and all that. So that gives him credence. But also the Lord of the Rings of Power show sucks ass. So people are like,
sucks,
please
dude.
cleanse
the last
palate.
season they did was much better, but it still was. It still sucked in many aspects. But last season was way better than the first season, like way better, because it was more story based instead of like, establishing characters with stupid personalities. It was so stupid,
and the casting was dumb too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look. I mean, I'm sure WB took some inspiration from them and Wheel of Time and all these fucking shows. Like, oh, it's just so bad. It's so bad. So at least he's not the director; he's the co-writer. But it's still kind of weird. Like, what the fuck? Why would you have this douchebag be a part of it? I don't know. I don't get it.
They're thinking it's gonna give credence to it. That's why.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I guess so. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to our next topic. The sequels are no more polarizing than the prequels were when they came out, says BB-8 actor. What? And puppeteering Brian Herring. Why the fuck are we hearing from the puppeteer of BB-8? Like,
we'd like to hear from the key grip. let's get somebody get somebody on the soundboard.
We'd like to hear from the assistant makeup artist number 5. Like, what? Why do we care?
We have the caterer on the line. Can you tell us about?
Well, I think that Darth Maul should have lived after the first movie. Okay, he says, all the people who were upset about the sequels are too young to remember how upset people were when the original ones came out. What? We're upset. How upset the people when the original ones came out were. Except they now have the internet.
Wait,
when the original ones came out, there was nothing to compare it to. What are you talking about?
No, he's talking about the original ones from the 80s?
That's what he said.
Those are all fucking beloved.
The beloved. If the internet had been around to the extent it is around when the prequels came out, you'd have seen exactly the same stuff play out. And I think in 10 years time, you're going to see what you're seeing with the sequels, because the sequels have a huge fan base, and I have met them all the time. There are more of us, but they're all much younger than the people complaining on the internet about how much they didn't like. It's perfectly fine. If you don't like them, you don't like them. Everything's not for everyone. Cool. And I just think that these are all generational. And I think Battlestar Galactica said it best. This has all happened before, and it will happen again. Here is my answer to this guy's statement.
Come on, don't bullshit me. Bullshit. 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 Bullshit.
That's it.
That's it. And to that matter, this also applies to you as well, Mr. Brian Herring.
Hey, yo! Shut the fuck up!
Because I don't care what you think. Just make sure BB-8 is going the right direction, okay? Now, he believes... So what he's talking about is the prequels.
Oh, yeah,
he's saying that when the prequels came out, people were all in arms about it and were turning on George, saying he's a bad writer. I think the only thing that were lacking in the prequels was the acting. Very flat.
It was very flat, and that's exactly what George needed. He needed somebody to work with the actors and sort of get the emotionality that he needed from the scenes.
Yeah.
But George was he was too focused on like technological advancements. And working with CG and also green screen and blue screen, all that kind of stuff, just made it way too, he relied too heavily on CG. And I think that that's where, people got disconnected from. And that's, they also, hey, what's up? They also had, issues with, Jar Jar Binks. They were like, bro, this is way too childish for me. He could have done better, and he did take notes. See, the thing is with George, he took notes from what people were saying from episode 1, and that influenced episode 2 because Jar Jar Binks, his role was cut down. He made different changes.
Goosen.
Misa like these. But anyway, he took notes. Whereas with fucking, Disney and Rian Johnson and even, Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams, they were like, man, fuck the fans. We don't care. We know what we're doing. Who gives a shit? And the thing is that slowly, a lot of the fandom that didn't like, the sequel, the prequels were like, you know what? It's not that bad. I actually do like it. I like it now that I've seen the whole thing. I'm great. And then, but you haven't had that revelation with the fucking the sequels because nobody likes them and they still suck.
You know what
even
they're going to
today.
do? I figured it out. What they're going to do is they're going to say, okay, everything that comes out after the sequel trilogy, it's got to be worse. That way they can look back and say, hey, these weren't that bad.
Well, that's why they made the Acolyte. They were like,
okay, so with that being said, the next article I'm going to pull up, it's something that we've heard before, but now I have it in long form, so I'm definitely going to show it. It's this right here. Former Walt Disney VP Dan Cockerell on who killed the Tatooine-themed Star Wars land. So what they're saying is that Galaxy's Edge was going to be Tatooine.
It should have been.
Which it should have been. And if you go there, which I'm going there next week, it basically is Tatooine, but it's called I forgot what the fuck it's
some shit.
It's
right?
something. It called something else.
Gate or
Yeah, it was like, what the fuck? Why don't you just be called Tatooine?
yeah.
You could have had Mos Eisley. I mean, not Mos Eisley. But you could have had the
Mos
Cantina, Mos Espa, Freetown.
I mean, that to be honest with you, that's what they should have done. They should have made like either Disney World, Mos Eisley, and then Disneyland, Mos Espa, to give you a little bit of a different experience. Same thing, but same but different, And that would have been, and one of one of them would have been grounded in a prequel trilogy era, and then the other one would have been grounded in original trilogy era.
Okay,
but they were just too locked into. I need to make the sequels, something that people care about, that they changed it and made it this black gate, whatever the fuck it is, or a black post or something. I forget the fuck.
I forget what it's called. But anyway, he says we all got so he says we got a call one day. They said, what do you say? They said, well, we got some news for you all. And the Imagineering guys, they've heard this line many times during their career. And I had never been through this. He had never been through this. So this guy had never been through this. They said, well, yesterday Bob Iger met with Kathleen Kennedy, who, as a lot of people may know, was sort of a George Lucas protege. Oh my God. And headed up Lucasfilm. And they love a conversation, and they had a conversation. I can't read today. And they had a conversation. They had a meeting, and Kathleen Kennedy, her point of view was there are way more Disney Star Wars stories ahead of us than behind us. So we really should think about, do we want to build a Tatooine and build what all the 50-somethings remember Star Wars is, or do we build something else which is going to appeal to all the upcoming generations who are going to know the new stories? Ooh, what a horrible decision.
It was a bad decision. Look, number one,
at the end of the day, Tatooine was killed at the studios, and all those concepts were put on the shelf, and I'm sure they're sitting in a vault, and I'm sure they're going to be shown someday about what the land looked like and what the attractions were going to be. How disastrous was this decision? Ryan!
Yes. No, so what I get where she's coming from as far as wanting to appeal to kids, right? Because that's where the new money would be coming from. But the people who are bringing the kids to the park are the older kids,
yes,
the older fans,
or the
right?
50-something-year-olds who are like, "Look, guys, get into this."
What you want to do is you want to give them a reason to come out and then and share with their kids what they loved when they were kids, and then slowly introduce things that the kids themselves would like give them like rides and shit, where they're all in pod racers and whatnot, give the kids something to have fun with, but then also, but you gear it toward the adults, the ones that are paying the admission fees. The kids aren't paying the fucking admission fees. They're collecting the shit that you're taking home. All of the paraphernalia and
it's not like the attractions that you set up, the rides, we're glued to that. We can't change those. Fuck that. You guys have changed rides throughout the years all the time. So even like, for instance, the Millennium Falcon ride, it's really cool, and I really like it a lot, but it would have been a lot cooler if that was the Battle of Endor. And you're flying around in the Battle of Endor, and you have to go in and destroy the Death Star. That would have been fucking cool.
They could have done that with like what they do with Star Tours, right? Where every time you get into Star Tours, it's a different experience a little bit. It's got a different animation or whatever that you have to sit through and play. And that's the way it should be, even with this Millennium Falcon. Yes, and then give the fucking Millennium Falcon the dish.
Yeah. So you can basically adjust these attractions as you go on, but to me, you should have leaned on your nostalgia. Have Luke Skywalker, have Han Solo, have all these characters, Princess Leia, you have Chewbacca already, and having Kylo Ren and Rey and all them all showing up at the theme park.
Yeah,
and you embrace what Star Wars has already done, and while at the same time embracing the new stuff that's coming in. Instead, what did they do? You don't see any Han Solo, no Luke Skywalker, no Darth Vader. All you see is sequel trilogy characters. They were so concerned with pushing the sequel trilogy that they shat on the legacy that is Star Wars, and that was a big mistake. Big mistake.
Huge. Huge. They're like, and that's why every single person or character that they had on there, and they did the same thing with the stupid was it not Galaxy's Edge? What was that thing that they had? It was a
the cruise.
The cruise. They did the same thing where you have characters that you don't give a shit about.
You don't give a
but
shit
they're
about.
the ones that are like, hey, follow me. Hey, I've got these secret plans and all this other bullshit and whatever, and nobody gives a fuck because they couldn't be like, okay, you know what, we're gonna dress you up as Han Solo. Man, they got fucking Cinderella in the park. That's not the lady. They got fucking Snow White and Moana and all these other people that walk around in the park. They're not the actors. You can do the same damn thing. They do the same thing with the fucking Indiana Jones.
Do you know how many fucking fans, adult fans, teenage fans, young adult fans, especially the adult fans, would have wanted to take pictures with fucking Luke Skywalker, Han Solo? And I will say this, over on the other side of the park, closer to where Space Mountain was at, they had a little museum of Star Wars stuff there for a little while. I'm thinking Darth Vader, a guy in his suit, and you can go take pictures with him and he talks to you. He's like, oh, you are a weak being. He does like a bunch of Vader lines.
They did the same thing with the one in Florida. When I went, there was Darth Maul and Darth Vader. And they had the stormtroopers, and they also had the new troopers from the new series.
And that's the thing is like, it's like, why not have those characters all over Galaxy's Edge, not just stowed away in a fucking museum across the park? You know what I mean? Like these guys should be everywhere. And come on. So again, Kathleen Kennedy, you guys just completely fucking.
They just don't know they don't know what they're doing, man. They really don't know what they're doing. They don't know what a good fan experience is, even though these parks have been around since before we've been alive.
Yeah, they've lost touch. All right, let's go to our next and last topic. And here it is.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
DC Studios' Jimmy Olsen series will be a crime mystery comedy, confirms showrunner Dan Peralta. Here's my response to this.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you
we don't care.
Why are we making a Jimmy Olsen series when I've seen him in one movie and I can give two shits about his character?
Exactly. They're trying to say that what they're doing here with this thing is they're trying to say, hey, you know what? We're going to make something out of nothing. And apparently people were they got a lot of praise from this actor being in the Superman movie, where like all these hot girls were like, oh, he's so attractive, fawning over him.
Fuck this guy.
And people thought that it was funny, and I was like, no, dude, that's dumb. Yeah. Like but they were like, well, let's make a Jimmy Olsen show, and like nobody asked for it, nobody cares. It's fucking. I'd rather talk about fucking Highlander with Henry Cavill.
Kalel, no.
I know. You know what? And there is a Highlander picture that was out. I couldn't find it in time, so that's why I don't have it up. But
I sent it to you.
I know. Well, thanks for bringing that up. Okay. So, I mean, it's just an image of him standing there.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, so here's a video of James Gunn talking about, is there superhero, or I'm sorry, what's it called? Superhero fatigue? Let's take a listen and see what the mastermind behind DC has to say.
I don't believe in superhero fatigue. I think there's, mediocre movie fatigue. I think you can tell stories about anything. If you see the same gangster movie over and over, you're going to get so bored. But if you see different types of criminals doing different things that are involved in different activities, different levels of morality, different styles, it's not going to ever get boring. And I think the same thing is true about superheroes. And if the only thing that we have to offer is one character showing up and seeing two characters together that we've never seen on screen before, that was really exciting when it first happened. Nobody cares anymore. This concept of superhero fatigue in one way is real because there have been a lot of superhero movies that maybe haven't been up to what they should have been or what the audience wanted. You see the same thing happening across the board with movies in general, that people are not making the movies that need to bring people into the cinemas. That's why something like Barbie works so well. Barbie did something differently than what other big movies like that did. And people went to the theater. And I wrote Margot the morning that came out. I said, thank you, for helping to keep theaters alive. I saw Greta Gerwig the other day. I was like, thanks. And I think there's a few filmmakers like that now. I think Matt Reeves is like that. He's a filmmaker that makes big pop movies, but they have soul and they're different. And whether you like his movies or not, that's not the important thing. He is doing something different. Being able to see those chances being taken on a big canvas is important. I want the cinema going experience to continue. I want, my nephews and nieces and their children to be able to experience what I've been able to experience going to a theater and seeing the magic of cinema. I just think we need to take risks. It hasn't been happening because people are so afraid of making a mistake. I think we should make a lot more mistakes. I don't believe in.
So, having said all that, Ryan, what's your take on what James Gunn said about superhero fatigue?
Man, I'll tell you what, I actually do agree with a lot of things that he was saying up until Barbie, because I didn't see Barbie, so I don't care. But I do agree with a lot of things that he said. But what's funny to me about James Gunn is that he is not self-aware. He said, it's all about, making interesting movies and bringing characters and putting them in, interesting situations and giving people a reason to come back to the theater and watch it and having an experience. Yes, everything's right. But dude, look what you've done. Like Suicide Squad. Nobody gives a shit about that. It wasn't fun. It wasn't intriguing. Nobody cares. It was just people, all on the screen. Look at your fucking Superman movie. Same thing. Nobody cares. It wasn't something. It wasn't a reason for anybody to give a shit to go to the movies. They didn't. You can tell in the fucking money that they made. It didn't bring movies or it didn't bring people to the cinema. And that's why they fast tracked and released the shit, because it was really because of Peacemakers, because Superman wasn't pulling in the money that they thought it would. And they just used Peacemaker 2 as a fucking excuse to release it early on fucking Max or whatever the fuck. And same thing with this Jimmy Olsen thing that he's fucking releasing and shit. It's like this is not going to the cinema, but this is also something that nobody's asking for. Nobody cares about, dude. And so I can assure you that if there's nothing in this Jimmy Olsen show that connects to the larger universe or that has anything to do with anything else, or is not a fun show on its own, standalone, nobody's going to care about it, just like they didn't care about the Creature Commandos, just like they might not care about the Lantern show.
Yeah. No, I'm in the same boat. I agree with a lot of things he was saying, but he hasn't been, like, when you look at Superman, to me, that's not a movie where I was like, he gets it.
Yeah.
To me, it was just kind of like, oh, it just seemed kind of messy. To me, it felt like Superman and the rest of the world were not on the same page. Like, he was in a different movie while the rest of the universe he was in a different movie.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I just, and so far, James Gunn's universe, I haven't seen enough continuity between all the different movies and series that where I'm like, yeah, I get where we're going here with his new universe. I don't. It just seems kind of like, whatever's hot. It's just kind of a mess to me, at least. But I do agree that, like, there is mediocre movie fatigue, and there's been a lot of them, and I think almost the entire multiverse saga from Marvel has been mediocre, and that's really hurt their brand. But unfortunately, they're such a big powerhouse that they can recover very quickly. They can release an Avengers Doomsday, and it's going to do $1 billion because people are like, "Oh, I want to go see that."
Right, because with Avengers Doomsday, they're basically skipping over every stupid move or decision that they made for Disney Plus.
Yeah. And so when he talks about taking risks. I think one reason to take risks. If taking risks for you is swearing or having, like, crude humor, then I don't know, maybe. But to me, when you talk about taking risks, to me, it takes us back to our main topic, which is the 10-year anniversary of Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice. Now, I think this movie took a lot of risks. Superman. I think Zack Snyder took a lot of risks with his universe.
Yeah.
Now I'm a huge fan of this movie. I think you are too. To me, this is such a cool movie. I love it. And especially the Ultimate Edition. The theatrical cut is terrible.
Pretty much the only one that I'll watch.
Yeah.
If I watch the movie, that's the only thing I'm going to watch.
Yeah.
A couple of things stand out to me that make this a good movie for me, which I don't think is better than Man of Steel. I'm more partial to Man of Steel. There are things that I take issue with that movie, but for the most part, I think it's a more well-rounded, more well put together film. Is that you've got the best looking Batman ever.
Absolutely.
I don't care about anybody else that is suited up as Batman before. Ben Affleck's Batman suit is the best in BVS. It's head over heels better than Justice League, head over heels better than The Flash, head over heels better than any other incarnation you could bring, Ben Affleck's Batman in. BVS was and should be the standard of what Batman should look like in cinema. I think that is amazing. The only thing you want to change is maybe, his logo or the ears or whatever, if you, do different, iterations of him. But I did like the black and gray motif. I thought that was amazing. I thought it looked great. I thought the cowl looked great on Ben Affleck's face, and how it made his chin look, and just everything, just really it personified what I thought Batman should look like, from the comic books. So
yeah,
amazing design, amazing. Whoever, made the wardrobe. I know that we looked at that a long time ago, but that to me, for
Michael Wilkinson,
there you go. That to me, that costume right there was fantastic, and I loved. It's my second favorite Batmobile. The only thing I didn't like about the Batmobile was the doors, how they open up, front ways or whatever we talked about before. I thought they should have sort of, kind of opened up, to the side. But like my favorite is Michael Keaton's Batmobile. That's amazing. Yeah, right there. That looks so great.
And that's not even a good image, and that's actually
not a good image. It's
not a well colored. But here's the point, though. The reason why I picked this one is because the lighting isn't the greatest, but even in bad lighting, it looks badass.
Right. And it's a great suit. It's a great suit. It looks like that is something that if I were out in Gotham and I were a criminal and this guy was hunting criminals, I'd be afraid that this guy's going to find me. Yeah. And like I said, his Batmobile is my second favorite Batmobile. I think it looks amazing. I like, every tactical, it looks like they took the Tumbler and they took like an F1 racer, and they took, the old Batmobile from, what's his name? Tim Burton, and they fused it and they made, this awesome muscle car, which is head over heels better than anything that Pattinson's driving. I think that's just a stupid, Fast and Furious car. But I really do like this one. I think it's a fantastic car. So that's the height for me. I didn't really care for Doomsday, but again, and some of the things that I think another standout thing for me for BVS would be the dialogue of Lex Luthor. I think if you just listen to the words alone, that is the epitome of who Lex Luthor is as an individual, and that's what I really liked about it. I wasn't too hot, with Jesse Eisenberg in the role. He wasn't horrible, but he wasn't great. I think that the dialogue, if they had given it to somebody who personified Lex Luthor better, I think it would have served better. I think if they had an older individual, somebody who came across as a bit more cunning and a bit more, callous, I think that it would have made a better Lex Luthor. But yeah, no, I mean, there are a lot of really, really good things about the film. I like, how they pit Batman and Superman against each other. I just wish there was more fighting between the two. I wish that it was more focused on Batman and Superman and not really trying to set up a Justice League. I'm cool with, Diana being there. I just wish that maybe she wouldn't have, been as involved. I love that she was there. And that could have been, that's kind of one of the things that, like, we were talking about earlier about, like, just kind of peppering things in, like, maybe you put her in, but you don't, make her a part of the end battle or anything like that, or, whatever, it's just like, there's so many other things that they could have done and should have done. But, with the movie that we got, it was the best that we were going to get with the circumstances and the crunch that they put on the director. So, I do like BVS. I did like the Ultimate Edition. When I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm back on board. Like when I went to the movies and I saw BVS in theater, I was like, man, this was great to see these two iconic characters finally on the screen. We were teased in that Will Smith movie that I Am, or what was that one? Why the Last Man or something like. I forget the name of that.
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend. And Hancock. And you saw Hancock, yeah, what's up, baby? That one started out good but trailed off. But anyway, the I Am Legend, you saw that, the Brandon Routh and Superman and Batman logo on the billboard in the background. We're like, oh, that's awesome. And I think that was like, yeah, let's go ahead and make the Batman vs Superman movie. And I think the reason why it, because they got so much buzz off of that, they were like, yeah, we don't need a Man of Steel 2. We need a Batman vs Superman movie. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll fast track it. And I think that was the wrong decision. But I think, again, like I said, the director, Zack Snyder, did the best job with what he was given.
Yeah, no, I think he did the best he could. with what he was given. I think that, if he was allowed to do a Man of Steel Part 2, BVS would have been easier for a lot of fans to digest, because then you've already established
who exactly
Superman
Cal is.
Yeah.
And they should have also, which would have been amazing, would just have a solo Ben Affleck Batman movie to get the audience geared for who this Batman is, and then you put them together versus against each other. And, with the different, their different paradigms, their different ways of seeing things. One of the biggest things that I loved about BVS, which sold me, I'm a huge Back to the Future fan. And so when you saw Ben Affleck's Batman going into the Man of Steel movie at the end in Metropolis, when the world engine was like destroying the whole thing, and he was running through the city, he was driving through it, and then helping people out and going to his building, because of course he's going to have a Wayne Enterprises or a Wayne Tech or whatever the fuck over in Metropolis, because it's a huge Metropolis. I thought that was amazing. I loved that it was, it showed you Zod and showed you, Superman and his perspective, the destruction of the city and all the things going on, and gave you reason as to why he thought that Superman should be stopped, because, damn, with that kind of destruction, you are killing a lot of people. So I really enjoyed that. And I thought that was fun.
I thought that the opening scene in BVS, where it's in Metropolis, like you were just describing, I think that's a fantastic scene, and it was one of my favorite scenes of the entire movie. I do kind of wish that instead of the guy he calls named Jack, who you'd have to research to find out that Jack was somebody that worked with his father when he was a child, when Bruce was a child, so he's known him for most of his life. To me, if you were never going to use the character, I think that should have been Lucius Fox. Because I think that would have made a bigger impact on fans to see Lucius Fox and then see him die.
Right, because of Morgan Freeman. So
because of Morgan Freeman's character.
Yeah, exactly.
So if it was a black actor and he's like Lucius, then you're like, oh, that's Lucius Fox.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's dead, and then it means more. You're like, oh my God. And I get it. A lot of these filmmakers will say, well, I didn't want to do that because I don't want to take away Lucius Fox from the next movie that might be made. And I'm telling that next filmmaker, hey, I already killed you. I don't care. Yeah. That would have made it. The only other character you could have put in there that would have made an impact on the fans would have been Alfred. And that wouldn't make any sense. Alfred, he's in the building. What the fuck's he doing there?
I was delivering your lunch, sir.
But if you were never going to use Lucius Fox in your Justice League movie and whatever, I would have made that Lucius Fox, and that way the fans would have been like, "Oh fuck, he's dead."
Same thing with what they did with the Jimmy Olsen. A lot of people took issue that this rando guy took the pen name or the fake name of Jimmy Olsen, and they just killed him because he was a photographer, and they were like, "Yep, that's Jimmy Olsen." And they should have done that, like you said, with the Lucius Fox. It would have made more sense. And a lot of normies that didn't know anything, they just came from the Nolan series. They would have made a connection, but like, oh man, that's somebody who is something to Bruce, and that that would have given gravity and all that kind of stuff and weight to the issue, or to what had just happened. So yeah. I can, out of everything that you have said about BVS, I think I agree with that the most.
Yeah, and to me, that would have been the most impactful scene where you're like, "Oh my God, that's somebody the normies would have said, I know him. I know him." Like, oh my God, now he's dead.
Yeah.
And you would have had fans that would have revolted and been like, "Oh, how could you kill off Lucius Fox immediately? Because he's the guy who does all your he gets all your tech." But at this point, Batman has been around for 20 plus years. So to me, it's like he already has a fuck ton of tech and he knows how to get resources. And so killing him off now, it wouldn't have had as big of an impact as it would if you'd killed him off in The Dark Knight. You're just like, oh shit,
Yeah.
So that's something I think would have made that scene even better. But I love the scene nevertheless. I love it regardless. I love the stakes that were in play, but I think that by killing Lucius, you would have created more of an anger towards Superman from the fans, understanding why he was so angry. I think a lot of fans missed the fact, and they were like, well, why is Bruce so angry at Superman? I don't really get it. I mean, he's a good guy. He's obviously helping people. We've seen all these different scenes where he's helping people. Like, why does he hate him so much? And so to me, that would have been something like, well, you have to give him a reason right off the bat to hate his guts. It can't just be, because thousands of people died. Okay, thousands of people die in movies all the time. It has to be something that's personal to you. And so I felt that would have been the cherry on top, is that thousands died. Lucius was one of them, and you were so close to getting him out and to saving him. You literally had him on the phone. And I think, when you look at some of the media we get now for like, comic book movies, or shows, like when you watch The Boys, I'm sorry, but like, to me, BVS laid the groundwork for The Boys to be a real live action thing.
Right. For audiences to accept it and say, "Oh man, yeah, it's great." It's because, and the reason why it was successful is because nobody had any ties to any of the characters in The Boys. It was a brand new. It was for normies or for the general audience, is a brand new franchise or IP that they don't know, and with these, with this movie here. You've got Batman, you got Batman fans, you got Superman, you got Superman fans, you got fans of both, and you want to see them represented, the best way possible when you're watching movies like this. And it was a really cool, it was a really cool concept. I love that, the armor suit that they had for Batman. You've never seen him in anything really like that before and since, and I like that, Superman, he looks the way he does. I don't like the hair, and I know it's wet and whatever, and I didn't like the shield that they changed to make some sort of river on his S symbol. Like, who cares? That wasn't a thing in the first one. Why is it something now? And try to add lore that wasn't there before. But I think that that they were very creative with like that, the kryptonite powder or whatever that Cal inhaled. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's an interesting concept.
But it's similar to what they did in the Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, I know.
But the difference is that it was Arrow was the one who shot the arrow at him and it blew up.
Yeah.
But the way he went about creating it was badass. Like he lasered it off in a shave it. Yeah.
They showed it, and they showed him working out and the weights and everything, and the Ben was cut, and it was like, okay, this guy here is the same thing that Lex should have been as well, is like, you should be in peak physical condition. You are the perfect male specimen of the human species going up against Superman. And you have one that is somebody who quote unquote fights for good, and then you have someone who quote unquote fights for his own purposes or bad or evil, and that should have been the difference between Lex and Bruce, and the reason why Cal would eventually side with Bruce, because he sees the kind of person he is. So there's just so many things that they could have done or should have done, and I think that they could have made this a longer film as well.
Yeah, this should have been a longer. At the very least, it should have been the ultimate cut. Having Doomsday in the movie, I think that if this was your third film and you kill Superman, it'd be a little more palatable. Everyone would be like, "Oh my God, he's dead,"
right? Because you got to build it up. You got to build it up. A reason for people to care about Henry Cavill Superman, and they haven't. And that's what I was talking about with the whole montage at him, saving the people from drowning, or him, saving the people on the. What is that day? The Day of the Dead, or him, and with all that, the astronaut thing and all that, it was a cool montage, but it didn't really get people like to really say, "Hey, I like this Superman. I hope they don't kill him," and then they kill him.
I did like the weight that they put on Superman. So the reality of like, hey, if you are a Superman in this world, there was a lot of weight on your shoulders. People are, and I liked how Zack presented Superman as like a god, and everyone revered him as like this god, or they hated his guts. And I think that if someone like him existed in our world today, you'd have that. You'd have those that just see him as like this supreme godlike being. Then you'd have others who hate his guts and want him to go away. Yeah. And I like that. And so it shows, the harsh reality of how human beings would react to having a Superman in their world. Yeah. And not only that, but you'd have governments questioning what he's doing, even if he's doing the right thing, questioning why he's doing it. And if you think that's stupid, well, I'm sorry, but James Gunn did the same thing, because at the end of the day, James Gunn even understands that, hey, look, governments are never going to understand why Superman is doing what he does. you know what I mean, they're going to question why he's doing the things that he does because they're trying to, you know, they all have narratives and it's all politics. And so you saw that in both films. In BVS, you saw that, and you saw that in James Gunn's Superman, was that, you know, everyone questions the decisions that Superman makes. Now, to me, you know, having the whole thing, the scene in Africa in the beginning of the movie, I mean, I get it. I know what they were going for, but to me, it didn't resonate very well. If you were going to do this film and you're going to have a hearing, because I mean, you saw in the trailer that they were going to have a hearing with Superman before Congress, and to me, that should have been about the fight with Zod.
Yes,
that's what they should have been talking about.
Yeah,
that's what they should have been holding him accountable for. Mm-hmm. It was all the lives they lost, not this this incident that happened in Africa.
Yeah, that was a bad decision.
It was like, oh wait,
the other
so
one
you're
was
gonna
more catastrophic.
Yeah, like you're gonna hold him accountable for something that may have happened or something that did happen in Africa, but you're not gonna hold him accountable for what happened in Metropolis. Why? Yeah. Because General Zod appeared on everyone's television and device, proclaiming that if you don't give us the Kryptonian, you're all gonna die and try to destroy your planet, and he saved you all.
Yeah, it should have been, why are you here? Why did you hide yourself? Why did you choose our planet to do? And that should have been the dividing factor between, you know, people. It's like, why did you bring this dude here to destroy, you know, and hide out? Why are you a refugee? You know, why are you being a refugee here and all that? And they could have, it would have been different. A lot of things. There are so many missteps. It's a good film, but there's so many things that they could have done that would have been made more sense, been more well received, and given you a lot deeper a narrative, a better story.
Yeah, like, you know, he should have been held accountable for Metropolis. And another question too that they could have asked him was, as much as, you know, some of us are thankful that you're here, what happened in Metropolis, how are we sure this won't happen again? How are we sure that another General Zod doesn't show up? Another, you know, army of General Zods don't show up and threaten our planet?
Sure. And then on top of that, it's like, you know, like, I see what you're doing. I see that, you know, you're going around and you know, we've seen the deeds that you have done. And we see that, you know, and there is some way that you are trying to make up for it. So there's that dichotomy there. You're going out and you're flying around. You're in the suit. You're presenting yourself to the world. You're helping things out. You're helping people out of natural destructions and things like that. We see that, but again, like, you know, Andre was saying, was like, you know, hey, how do we know that there's not another, you know, threat that's going to come looking for you?
But at the same time, you never got into the hearing. As soon as it started, the bomb went off and they were all dead.
Yeah.
And so to me, there should have been a back and forth between Superman, Helen Hunt,
right,
and the committee.
It would have been so much more. There would have been so much weight. You would have heard both sides. Kind of like that. You know, like you were saying with the James Gunn movie, where you had Lois and Clark, and they were talking, you know, back and forth or whatever, and they were arguing about, like, you know, paradigms and things like that, and that could have made this movie so much more interesting for people. Like, you know, why do people think this way? Why does he think this way? What's going on? You know,
and he would have
lost his temper.
Himself.
Like, you know, he would have. It would have been. God, there would have been so much good writing.
Yes, you had Chris Terrio at your disposal. Like, you could have made something really, really compelling, and he would have said, you know, like, you know, he might have said something like, you know, I can't promise you that another General Zod won't show up. I can't promise you that a threat from space won't show up.
Yeah.
But know that whatever happens, I will be here to defend humanity. But, and again, he would have to talk about, you know, why he does what he does. And it would have been so much better if they would have had that scene, and it would have helped build that relationship with the viewer and your Superman, because you didn't have a Man of Steel Part 2. If you had a Man of Steel Part 2, you wouldn't have had to have the hearing scene even in the fucking movie, because you would have already known who the guy is.
Yeah, exactly.
This would have been huge.
And it would have been huge. And then maybe Batman is not able to hear what happened in the hearing or whatever. So he doesn't have that shift. He doesn't have that change. He doesn't understand.
But see, that's the only thing that may have changed that scene. Like, well, wait a minute. If we do that, wouldn't that have told Batman, like, hey, wait a minute, maybe he's not such a bad guy after all?
Maybe he did see it. Maybe he just doesn't believe him. Maybe he doesn't have that trust. So,
Instead, it starts off, then boom, everything explodes, and then it frames him for being like, oh, he must have killed everybody and lasered everybody, and so it set a bad precedent for Superman. But again, I think that you could have had a back and forth dialogue, and then as the conversation builds up in intensity, and he slowly begins to kind of lose his composure, that's when everything blows up. And, it could have been on the heels of a very pressing question, a drill down question where it visibly upset him. And all of a sudden, boom, it goes off and it frames him as like, oh, he lost control and he killed everybody. Can we trust him? And so in reality, but you know what I mean? Where it frames him for being someone who could be out of control. And in reality, you're like, dude, I didn't do that. Like, that was a bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would have been very impactful. But look, at the end of the day, as much as we're talking about scenes that we would have done in this movie, I still like this movie a lot. I like Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. I know you don't. I do. I thought Barry Allen, Ezra Miller,
with the long hair.
They could have went an entirely different direction with that. I don't know why they even did that for. But I think, again, if they would have made a Man of Steel 2, when you got to BVS and you saw the files of the different metahumans, like Flash, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, that would have been more palatable because you've already seen more of this universe in the second film. But they were so eager to catch up to Marvel, but that's where they fucked up. Is that they made that mistake, and then then after BVS, you would have had Wonder Woman, which would have then expanded the universe even further.
Mm-hmm.
But if you would have done a Man of Steel 2, I mean, BVS already has a lot of Batman in the movie. Like he's the second main character. He's the second lead in the movie. And in a lot of ways, he's the villain of the movie through most of the film. But you could have had even more of Batman in it if you already had a Man of Steel Part 2, because you already know who this Clark is. You already know who this Superman is. So, but in this film, the hearing should have been, there should have been actual dialogue in the hearing. Now, some of the things I love in this movie, I love the Batmobile scene, and the fact that everybody was like, he's killing people. Where Zack Snyder made a mistake was that he didn't drive home the idea that this is a Batman that's got off, that he's off the beaten path. He's gone away from his old rules of not killing people.
I don't agree with you, but go ahead.
But I'm saying that, like, because a lot of fans, when they saw this movie, they did not understand why he was killing people, and it was kind of
I understand that. Yeah, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
don't understand the difference between killing and murdering. Like,
exactly.
If you're a fucking villain, if you're a crook, if you're a criminal and you're doing criminal things, and a vigilante is out there to stop crooks and criminals, and he is, he's going to stop at nothing, you're putting your own self at fucking risk. You've decided that I'm okay. This guy kills. I'm okay with being out there. So what they were saying, Batman doesn't kill. Is like, bro, he doesn't fucking go out and commit murder. Like, if you're a soldier and you're on the fucking battlefield and you're shooting a gun, you're not a murderer, but you do kill. You do kill people, right?
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Is Batman is a soldier. He is a soldier that is attacking criminals and the criminal element, the evil people of the world, right? And for people to get upset and like, oh, he killed somebody, is like, bitch, he killed the fucking criminal. He didn't kill some innocent.
Yeah,
he didn't kill somebody that wasn't doing wrong. They were doing wrong, and they put themselves in that in that arena. It's so consequences. There are no consequences for criminals. The people that are getting upset or don't like that, are they in fact criminals themselves? What I'm saying is the viewers, the people watching them, they have sympathy for criminals. Like, I don't.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, I don't know. I think because we grew up through watching movies in the 80s and 90s where that's just what people that's what hero. I mean, that's what action movies. Bad guys die, and so. Coming up the heels of the Nolanverse, in which Bale's Batman was very much like, I don't kill, no guns. Where's the fun in that? You know what I mean? It's like, they drove that home so hard that when you saw it in BVS, fans were like, "Oh my God, he's killing people! What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And so that's why I keep saying that, like, they should have drove home the idea that he's not the same Batman he used to be. And I like that idea. I do, because the trauma he's gone through. He saw thousands die. He was at ground zero when people were getting murdered. His friends, his coworkers, they all got, the building collapsed, and he's holding a child, a child of whose mother has died, putting himself back in the shoes of when he was a child, and his parents were killed in front of him. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason why he's so pissed off, and why he's so hell-bent on killing him and getting revenge. I mean, that's essentially what he is. He's hell-bent on revenge. And if you watch Project Justice League, or you read the storyboards, Lex Luthor goes down that same path in Zack Snyder's universe. Lex Luthor becomes so hell-bent on getting revenge on Batman, on Superman, on the Justice League in general, but Batman and Superman, that he literally brings Darkseid to Earth to kill Superman and Batman, and ultimately leads to his own demise, because after they kill the Justice League, Superman kills Lex Luthor essentially at the order of Darkseid, like basically, like, you can get rid of him now, I don't care. Like, he becomes expendable. And then at the end of the film, at the end of Justice League 3, you would have seen Lex Luthor sacrifice himself to destroy Darkseid, which again is a similar arc to what Batman was going through when you saw him in BVS. He was hell-bent on revenge. He was in a dark place. He was so locked into and blinded by his need for revenge and his need to take out this enemy that is Superman. Now look, when you look at human beings, right? What makes human beings powerful? It's money and knowledge. Okay? Those are the two things that both Batman, Bruce Wayne, and Lex Luthor have in common. They have money and they're intelligent. But what happens is both of them essentially are insecure when they see Superman, because he's more powerful than they can ever be. Now, both of them are on a path to try and destroy Superman. Why? Because he represents a threat to not only humanity, but he represents a threat to their humanity, to what they see as humanity. You know, my parents taught me, the world only makes sense. The world doesn't make sense unless you force it to. And that's exactly what they were trying to do. They were trying to kill off Superman because the world only makes sense unless you force it to, and so that's kind of what was driving them. And so it's factors like that I really love. The fight between Batman and Superman I thought was badass. I love that entire fight when he's wearing the armored suit. It's such a good battle, and I love the dialogue that's in that fight. When he's dragging Batman, or he's dragging Superman, and his mask is half busted up, and he's talking, but his synthesizer is like half working.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
He's like, I bet your parents taught you that you mean something, that you're here for a reason. You know what I mean? My parents taught me.
Some men are born with a silver spoon.
Dying in the gutter. And it was a badass dialogue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so at that point, he had reached that moment of rage where he pulls out the spear, and he's just like, I'm gonna fucking drill this into you, and just end this.
Yeah.
And then again, with the Martha scene, we talked about that in one of our previous videos. I like it, and I know you do too, but it's how it was used and how that was the crux of their what do you call it? That altered how he saw Superman, when there needed to be just a little bit more right when that happened. When he says Martha and he stops and he has the flashback and he's asking him, why did you say that name? He made himself vulnerable. And it was at that point that when Lois comes in and says, it's his mother's name, she needed to add one more line of dialogue to connect the dots to Lex Luthor, which would have allowed the vulnerable side of Batman realize, like, holy shit, like, I get it now. I'm being played. And to me, the fact that he realized that he's being played by Lex Luthor would have pissed him off the most. You know what I mean? Because then he was bested by another man. You know, like he was just like, you know, and to me, that's where it should have been the driving force of him being like, you know, realizing like, what have I done?
Yeah.
What have I done? And then you could have had Alfred in his earpiece telling him like, you know, Master Wayne, like, he's not the enemy. It is Lex Luthor. She's telling you the truth, you know, like, listen to me. And then it all would have made sense to him. Instead, it was just, you have to save Martha. What? It's his mom's name. What? He's got a mom too? What? I'm going to throw this away. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh, you need.
Oh, don't worry. I'll get that later.
But you know what I mean? If she would have added something else, and then Alfred in his ear would have added a subtle line, like
was not flawless. It had flaws, and that's why it had scrutiny. You know, yes, and then you know it would have been better, you know, had he just dropped the fucking, you know, spear or
just dropped on the ground,
putting it in the water. It was
he didn't. She did that. She went over and was like,
she threw it. Oh,
yeah. Then she's like, oh shit, I need that.
And then she went back and got it. And I was like, and everybody's like, ooh, Aquaman's gonna help her out, you know?
No, yeah, right. The fight between the Trinity and Doomsday, as much as I wasn't a huge fan of how Doomsday looked, the fight is badass. The fight
is badass, but it was not. It shouldn't have been there. I'm sorry. He shouldn't have been Doomsday. He should have just been Bizarro. It would have made more sense. Hey, what's up? What's up? The final
Mad Max, or it's Mad Max, whatever.
Otefy.
The scene was fine. How it is, more compelling than Where's My Dog? I think he's.
Oh God.
What?
Where's My Dog from Superman?
I know,
when he
that
broke
was dumb.
into Lex's.
It wasn't even his dog.
It was his cousin's dog.
That was the line. Dying in the gutter for no reason at all. Yeah. You know, it was just like all of his hatred, all of his trauma was coming out right then and there, and he was literally blinded by it at that point. It was like he had reached the climax of his fucking rage, and he was going to kill this guy, and by killing him, that would make everything right again. You know, and so I really, really love this movie. I think it's really, really cool. And I like how Zack Snyder challenges these characters and puts them in situations that you don't normally see them in these situations. And so as another reason why I think fans were all like appalled by it, because they were like, well, why is Batman having trauma? Well, do you know who Batman is? I mean, like, come on. You know how Batman was made?
Through leather.
Leather.
And battle armor.
But I like the fight at the end. I love seeing Wonder Woman show up. I loved her fighting against Doomsday. The shot over the shoulder where you see Batman watching Wonder Woman and Superman fighting Doomsday. It was a great shot. There was a lot of shots in this film that were just fucking spot on. They're just like, wow.
Well, that's the one thing about, you know, BVS, you know, and just Zack Snyder in general, is that a lot of his stuff is very, very palatable as far as like when you're watching, you know, the James Gunn Superman movie, like when he's got all those guys on him and he's like sitting there twirling around in the sky and they're all falling and hitting the ground at terminal velocity. And it's like, okay, so that wasn't cool. Or when he's fighting the fucking kaiju and that
when he was spinning around with the lasers, I thought that was a cool scene right there. I was like, well, that was cool. But like overall, though,
they all should have died.
Right? But here's my point. He spun around, shot all those guys, knocked that dude's tooth out, whatever. Nobody had. Okay, let's say it this way. James Gunn didn't have a problem making that scene. Why? Because they're bad guys. Fuck them.
Yeah.
When Hot Girl dropped fucking wannabe Christopher Lloyd from like fucking 40,000 feet, why did she do that? Why did he write that? He's a bad guy. Fuck him. You know what I mean?
Bad guy. Fuck
He's
him.
a bad guy. Bad guys die.
What's all this? This is dumb.
Know. It was, but it was dumb the way she did that. But that's what. But I'm saying, and I'm not defending James Gunn, but what I'm saying is that like that's why James Gunn wrote that in the film, because those are bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like those are bad guys. Bad guys die.
Bad guys die.
Sweet, was it a corn sweat? Didn't save the kaiju; it died, and he didn't. And then the Justice Gang showed up, and they fucking blew up his intestines, and he died.
Yeah,
man, that was dumb too. I didn't really like that. Dumb. Batman was in severe depression, PTSD, a broken man. Superman brought him back to the light. Exactly, but to me, when you watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, you fully understand the whole Superman brought him back to the light. Because you see the way he is in Justice League when he tells Alfred, like, for the first time, I'm running solely on faith, and when they're about to get in the Flying Fox, he tells Cyborg's like, she wanted to fly, so do you, and then he's like, and then Alfred tells him, how are you sure that Superman's even going to be there? Faith, Alfred, faith. Like, you're seeing probably the side of Batman that was around when he was, at his peak.
Sure.
Before the death of Robin and all that. So that's why I really, really like Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I really like Batman vs Superman. But there are scenes, of course, that I think
you did bring up another sore spot for me,
what?
And I understand why he did it, but the killing of Dick Grayson. I never liked that because I was like, yo, in this universe, you're telling me Dick is never around. He's never alive. So you've killed him. I understand that, he's the Robin that is the closest to Bruce's heart and all that kind of stuff. But
you didn't have to, though. Like, that could have been Jason Todd, and that would have been just fine.
And if it was Jason Todd, a lot of people would have been like, oh, cool, that's awesome. I love that. Instead, they were like, no, it's Dick Grayson. What the fuck? I hate him. I hate him, blah, 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 whatever. And it was just one of those things where it was an easy thing. It was an easy sort of fix or whatever. And I think they tried to fix that in Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah, he did. Jeff Johns tried to.
Yeah, they tried to fix
that.
They tried to change it, and which would have made. I would have loved to have seen Dick Grayson in that sort of motif era, whatever, just sort of in this the Justice League film, at the end, he's kind of like reaching out to him, or he's around, or who he is, or they've cast him or whatever. That would have been cool. It would have built more, and it would have brought more fans together instead of putting more fans against Zack Snyder's narrative and Zack Snyder's his movies, his shows, because it's like you kill off characters. Nightwing is beloved. Like Dick Grayson is beloved, and you make it to where he can't be seen on the big screen. That's a problem for a lot of people. And that was a problem that I had.
And for me, I think that like you said, I get why he made it Dick Grayson, but in the movie, it was never announced that was Dick Grayson,
yes.
And that's why Jeff Johns decided, okay, let's just make that Jason Todd, because we never actually said. He didn't say it till afterwards in an interview. He said, yeah. In my universe, there was only one Robin, and that was Dick Grayson. So to me, that I would have been fine with if that was Jason Todd, and I think it would have been really cool if, for me at least, if in Suicide Squad, what's his name?
You're talking about Clint Eastwood's kid.
Yeah, if that was Robin. If he was undercover in there so that he can get the information for Bruce.
I'd have been cool if even Jeremy Irons had mentioned do I need to get Dick on the phone or something like, do I need to make contact with him? Something like that, just so that everyone knows that was Jason Todd, and that was his outfit, and all that happened and everything like that.
I mean, you don't need Nightwing to show up at the Martha scene, no Batman, and then it'd be like, what the fuck is going on? What is this? But that a reference to him would have been good. But also, too, you're talking about a Batman that's been around for over 20 years. Mm-hmm. So if that was Jason Todd, that would have been believable. Yeah. If Nightwing or Robin was still around, or if Nightwing was around in Bloodhaven, that's believable at this point.
Yeah, he's a man, and he's off doing his own thing,
and they would be comic accurate. That happened, but the original Robin, he's still out there. And to me, what's his name? Eastwood's kid. It's Scott Eastwood. To me.
Clint Eastwood.
What kind of stupid name is that? If Scott Eastwood was actually Robin, and he was because he went undercover, and he did that in the Suicide Squad comic. Yeah. I thought that would have been really cool. And then after a scene with Amanda Waller, which was a cool scene, but he's like, my friends and I will stop that. And that was another Jeff Johns written scene, but it was a cool scene. But if they would have had that scene, and then you would have next scene could have been Bruce driving in the car, getting a call. He's sitting in the back seat. He gets a call on his cell phone, and hello, or he tells him, great job, and then you hear Scott Eastwood's voice telling him like, did you get it, or did you, the files? Did you get them? Like, I did. Thank you. Some kind of confirmation that Nightwing was involved with it. I thought that would have been cool because then it would have been, oh, okay, I get why he was even there in the first place. Like, okay, I got that. And then you didn't have to bring back Nightwing at all after that. I mean, maybe in the Justice League, 3, you could have brought him back.
Like that.
In his Batman solo film, he could have shown up.
Nightwing solo film, could have been done. Have his own little thing, and that would have been great. It would have been great. Now we're not getting any of that, and we're getting we're getting a Man of Steel 2, and but back then we got like a Blue Beetle movie that nobody asked for, but was fine. It was okay, but nobody asked for it.
But imagine that scene. Like imagine him talking to Nightwing on the phone.
Yeah,
and then Nightwing's like this is it, Bruce. After this, we're done. You know what I mean? Like, because he had to go in there and fucking almost die, something like that. And then the last scene is outside the car, and it backs out. And you just see the back of Nightwing, perched over a rooftop, and he leaves. Yeah. That's the end of the scene.
I mean even in the Birds of Prey movie, he could have made an appearance.
Yeah, that would have been cool. Huntress, I think that would have been cool if you would have had Nightwing in the movie. Yeah. That would have been fucking cool. That would have made the movie a little better, hopefully.
Well, no, that movie had no chance. Even with Nightwing, movie had no chance.
No chance. Sucked. Okay, so the last thing I want to touch on, because we talked about the end scene, we talked about all the other aspects of the movie as much as we could. But I want to talk about the nightmare sequence. I really love this scene. But the problem was that when I first saw it in theaters, I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, here comes the Flash. Bruce! And that was a crazy scene, and I loved it. But it kind of came out of nowhere, where I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? And then you had to put in, like, the LexCorp shit, and you see the Flash and Aquaman, and you're like, okay, I kind of get it. But you still didn't really understand what that nightmare sequence is all about. Like, what happened? How did it get there?
Yeah.
And of course, as the series went on, you would have totally understood what they were referencing. But I think the nightmare sequence was something that fans were not expecting whatsoever. And when it happened, it was like, holy shit, what the fuck? And if you think about it, if you never had the nightmare sequence, would it have changed anything in the story of BVS?
No.
So
the only problem with that is that one sequence with the Flash where he's sitting in his office. Nobody understood that, and to me, I still don't really understand it myself. How he's standing in one spot, but just sort of like talking to him from another, I guess from the future of a different timeline or some shit like that. It was just, that was too much. That was too much for the audience to digest when you're trying to get them to digest a Batman versus Superman movie that already has a whole lot of things going on with it. And
that's what I'm saying. If this was the third movie, it would have been more palatable. Everyone would have been like, "Oh shit, yeah, give me more of this." But it was I would have
loved this. I would not have loved him being the whole time thing. Where he's in the Batcave talking to Bruce. I didn't like that because I was like, I don't understand. If there was some superhero, kind of like, in the X-Men or whatever, you just, hold on to this superhero and they can like, put you through it, and do that. That would have been cool. But for him to just be standing still and this thing come up and and apparently it was in a fucking dream, which didn't make any fucking sense either.
I don't like the dream part that he woke up and was like, wait, what? No.
Yeah.
Do you think this? Would this scene have been better if it was an end credit scene?
Yes,
absolutely.
It would have been better, and it would have been. And what they should have done was explained a little bit more and got people more excited about what happened. How did they get here?
You at least would have seen, the Lex Files and Flash and Aquaman, Cyborg, and then the end credit scene would have been Bruce. And then you're like, oh, then you would have said, oh, that's the Flash from when we saw him earlier. It would have made a little more sense because it came before he saw those files. Remember, he was unencrypting the files.
I think there should have never been a Flash trying to talk to Bruce experience ever. I don't think that should have happened.
I liked it
at all.
I like the entire scene. But okay, so the nightmare sequence and even the shot of the Flash, should that whole thing have been like at the end of the movie, you think?
I wouldn't have put the Flash in there at all for the time jump thing. I would have, but I definitely would have done the nightmare sequence in that, like, you know, this is a reality that would have happened because of, you know, these other chain of events. But I would have set it up a little bit to where, like, the audience would kind of understand why a little bit of why this is, not just that, you know, the dark side is there, but like, you know, like, you know, I would have had Batman go and talk to some of the other characters like he did in the Justice League nightmare sequence, you know, just to kind of get a little bit more of an understanding of like, well, what is this that I'm seeing? Well, all you see is Batman going and attacking a truck, and he was ambushed, and he was set up with a green light bulb, and which was cool, green light bulb, cool. But it would have been better had you understood, like, you know, what was it that they're doing? You know, give us a scene. Don't give us like you took her from me, and that's it. This is like, okay. I don't know, man. It just it should have ended on, like, you know, I don't know, man. Just I'd have to go watch it again just to sort of give you.
It was
notes.
too much because
it was too much with not enough info to get you excited.
Not enough connection to the characters. Now when we watch it, makes total sense. I get it. I get the connection. I get the emotion. I get why it's happening. Yeah, I'm like, dude, I love it. But at the time, people were like, I don't understand what's happening. What's happening when you took her from me?
So Batman and Superman, they won, and they're you know, on each other's side now, and this is what happens. Like, that, well, I mean,
I like the dynamic that, like, you know, they come together at the end, but, you know, based on the dream sequence that later on they're going to hate each other. So you're like, well, what went wrong? And I think he was kind of going for that to kind of throw you off, where it's like, hey, so I know later on something bad's going to happen. So what's that all about? The problem is that, like, well, here's the thing too, is that when we interviewed Richard Citrone, who was the stunt double for Batman, he had even said, he goes, actually, the nightmare sequence, we filmed that really, really late in production. Like, it was almost a case where he had said that it was like a last minute thing that he got approved, and they shot the scene out in New Mexico.
Okay.
And it wasn't like something that was already on the schedule. They added it at the end.
Yeah.
And then they shot that scene, and it kind of feels that way when you watch it. You're like, whoa, what's happening right now? What is all this?
It does. It feels disjointed, and that's sort of what the audience goes through when they watch it. And they, you know, you don't have all this extra context, because, you know what, they never, you know, even with the Zack Snyder's, you know, Justice League, we never went there. We never found out what this is about. We never, you know, so it's of no consequence. It makes, you know, it's a nothing burger pretty much now. I just think that it was a cool concept, but again, execution wasn't at the utmost in that, I mean, like, you didn't get people excited about what's next, because if you had, then I think a lot of people would have been like, you know, let's find out more. I'm very interested in this. Let's go. Everybody was confused.
So let's pretend that scene wasn't in the movie, and what if, you know, obviously at the last scene, as you see the coffin, and you see the dirt start to rise, which that was never explained. The dirt start to rise, and then and then the movie ends, right?
Yeah.
And then if there was an end credit scene where it literally starts off with, you know, the hatch opening, and this shot right here of him in the nightmare sequence, and this is the end credit scene, and the whole nightmare sequence in this movie was the end credit scene leading up to the Flash showing up and telling him, "You got to find us, Bruce," and that's where it ends. You know what I mean? Like, and that whole sequence was an end credit scene. Mm-hmm. Would that have been better, you think?
I think it would have been better, because the Flash sequence in the middle of the Batman movie, or Batman vs Superman movie, it confused the audience, and they're like, "What did I just watch?" I understand that was a Flash with Fu Manchu, but you know, he didn't even have to fucking have facial hair.
But the thing is, if he's coming from a future that looks like this, and he's got facial hair and long hair, I'm fine with that. It's a shitty world. You don't have
It
time
was
to shave and cut
barely.
your hair.
It looked like he did trim it. It didn't look like it was there for a while.
But what I'm saying is that if he has long hair and he has stubble or beard, I don't care because he's coming from the future. That's fine. But
I understand.
Yeah,
but
you know
I
what I'm
just
saying.
I didn't think I was like, but yeah, no. If you just had done that all at the end of the film, you know, and said, hey, you know what, this is the only way that we can, like, you know, get a hold of you, you know, and like have it to where Bruce is like, you know, this is what you need to say to me. And then he goes into like this thing and you know, something happens. It should have been something a little bit more set up. There should have been more set up than just what had happened. I thought the scene was cool as shit. I thought that the you know, the parademons were cool and
they looked
everything
awesome.
was great.
Well, and I think he put it where he did in the film because I think the idea was that like this would only further influence his decision that he has to kill Superman. You know what I mean? Because he would have had that dream sequence. He would have saw the vision and then thought, "Oh my god, was that a dream?" And then he'd have been like, "Dude, this guy's a threat. I gotta take him out." But to me, he was like,
doesn't do anything.
It just kind of felt like that was something they shot. They put it in that place, and then like there. That way, when you see this, then now you see that he's having dreams about this guy killing people and taking over the world. So
yeah.
But,
well, I mean, I think you're right. I think that's the reason why it was put there. I think it was because, you know, that's the whole point of like the whole revelation. Like, you know, when Batman is sitting there with the spear and he's about to kill Superman and Lois is the one. Lois is the key. Lois is, you know, listen to Lois. Don't kill him, you know, or whatever. And I think that, you know, it's like, well, wait a minute. Don't kill him. But then this Flash would have been from that dystopian future and it would have been like, yeah, no, please kill him. What? I'm sorry. It logically doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense.
Well, and he was like,
Flash should have said, kill the motherfucker.
You were always right about him. Fear him. And to me, that sounds like, oh, so you're saying that he was always right about Superman. Again, giving him more credence to say, I gotta fucking kill this guy. I just had a fucking dream where this guy was telling me to do it from the future, and it's the guy I'm looking at in this fucking video right here. And like I get where that's coming from, but I think that if that whole scene, the nightmare sequence, and then seeing the Flash, if that was an end credit scene, I think fans would have been like, "Holy fuck!" You know what I mean? Like, badass. It would have been like higher stakes. Like, whoa, this is bigger than what I thought was going on. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And that might have. I mean, if that was the end credit sequence, maybe that would have changed the perception of the whole film. In the eyes of the everyday fans.
The average viewer, yeah, it could. It definitely
they would have been like, "Whoa, I want to see more of that. That was cool." The fact that it was right in the middle of the movie was just like, "All right, wait, what?"
It was very off-putting, very confusing. It was like, what's happening? Why?
Because nobody saw that coming. There was never a connection to that in Man of Steel. Yeah.
And I'm not saying he couldn't, but I've never seen the Flash do that or have that ability. But the thing is that like if he's running on the cosmic treadmill, how is it that he's stopped?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they thought, okay, maybe we have him running while he's talking. That's kind of weird. He's running in one place. So at this point, he just needs to show up and say this, and then, like, if you read the storyboards, he actually died. He died right after. So right after he gave him that message, the Flash was dematerialized and he died. Yeah. It says it in the storyboard. So I was like, wow, he actually died right there. That's crazy. He sacrificed himself for that. And then later on in Justice League Part 2 or 3, probably 3, you would get the scene where they go, well, there's 2 points I can send you back. Well, which point would you have sent me back? This one. Send me on the other one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would connect.
It would have made more sense because, I mean, I'm sorry, but like, you know, finding out that Cyborg was the one that was able to send him back, to have, you know, that mother box technology, and he was able to, like, you know, put him into that, you know, sort of timeline or whatever. I think that it would have helped the audience a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, with the montage at the end of the heroes, I didn't think that I thought having a static shot of Ray, you know, on a table, and his dad was like right in front of him, and there was just like, that was it. I don't know. That was very underwhelming. They could have shown a better shot than that. I thought that was bad. Yeah. And then the convenience store thing with, you know, with Ezra, and Ezra looked like a hippie or a fucking
I didn't get the long hair and the unshaven, and that
then the whole
scene
thing with
was like,
Momoa,
what?
you had 2 shots of him. I thought, the one shot of him, going through the water at that speed, that was cool, but him just sort of like sitting there with the trident, like, I've never seen a camera before. Like, what the fuck? Like, dude, you come from the surface. Like, you've seen cameras,
Yeah.
What are we doing? So I thought, again, the thing to answer the questions, or the thing to sort of like, give credence to, X, Y, and Z, the montage sequence of Superman saving the world, and then also of the Justice League at the end, to sort of like, give you a reason to care. That wasn't enough. And it wasn't good enough.
The nightmare sequence at the end would have also let you know that there's a much bigger story going on than what you first thought. When you had it in the middle of the movie, you were like, what? So what the fuck am I watching this for? You know what I mean?
Because people would have wanted to get to that,
Yeah.
And the reason, I think one of the reasons why they took Zack off of, the Justice League movie was because of the reaction that the fans had on BVS, the theatrical release of BVS. They were like, oh, I'm panicking. Let's get him off of the project. He's already in production. What can we do? And then unfortunately he had, there was he had a death in the family, and they were like, let's use that as an excuse to say, hey, you know what? Go deal with your personal thing. We've got somebody over here we pulled from Marvel. We're all good here. He understands it.
Well, and honestly, if it wasn't for the death of his daughter, I think that he probably would have stayed on the entire production of the movie.
I think he would have stayed on, but I think they would have they
would have been tinkering with it for
would have
sure.
been tinkering with it. It would have been a very cucked version of what we got. It would have been a 2-hour mandate, I'm sure. And you would never have seen the Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I would say this though, that the nightmare sequence and some of the things that they did in BVS, it was things that had not been done before with superheroes in the modern age.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's movies like Blade. There's movies like, Batman '89, where they kills people as well.
Yeah.
But nothing like this. Nothing on a grander scale.
Right. The thing I liked about this is that you had Marvel, right, and they had their own tone, and then you had this one, which was a little bit more. I don't want to say it was a more adult type film.
It was a more serious tone.
It was serious, and I was like, I really enjoyed that it was serious. I really enjoyed that it took itself serious, and you do. I don't want to watch Batman movies or Superman movies or the Flash movies that are what you got last year with James Gunn, where it's just basically a Marvel movie with DC characters. I don't want to see that. I don't care. That would give me superhero fatigue, because you're giving me a lot of the same. All you're doing, and that's the problem with Marvel, when they were making movies, is that all they would do is give you the same cookie cutter formula. They changed the superhero, they changed the superpower, they changed the heroine, or the damsel in distress, and they changed the villain, they changed the city, and here's your new movie. And that was it. And it was just like, dude, I've already seen this.
Yeah. It's very repetitive on what you're seeing, and nothing is really all that
right,
just different and new. And I mean, even everything in the nightmare sequence was new. You'd never seen shit like that.
Yeah.
And of course, I can't go without saying that the warehouse scene is badass, where Batman just beats the crap out of all those guys.
Sure, the warehouse scene is phenomenal. They took that right out of the
Arkham games.
Video games. Yes.
Yeah.
And it was very reminiscent of that, and it really showed, and it was awesome. And there were things that they cut out, that showed how Batman was awesome. That first scene when he was with the all the little kids or the ladies, I forget, but he was in the corner, like perched, in that corner of the building when the police were going through it, and that was your first reveal of Batman. He was like crawling on the ceiling and like, digging through, and it's like, oh wow, that's the one thing that I don't like about, after you've done something really cool like that, you never see it again. Like we never saw Batman like, in the shadows again, or like crawling on the walls or the ceiling or whatever, like really scaring people. Like, yeah, he did punch through the wall and get that one guy, but I was just like, I like the theatrics. I like that, they did the same thing with Nolan's Batman. Like after the theatrics were over, you just kind of like, oh, well, there's Batman. He's doing his thing. I just always wanted to see him sort of, always be one step ahead of the criminals and always terrifying them.
Well, and when you first saw him up in the corner, like, he came across as like a monster. You know what I mean? Like something that you didn't know.
You didn't want to be caught dead with. Not a superhero.
That's why the cop was like, he's like, holy shit, like, because he was terrifying, like he's up there and he literally like, you say crawling on the ceiling and getting out of there like he's a monster.
Yeah.
In reality, like, he may have had some kind of tools on his hands to make him grip better, but you would never know that because all you see him as is a monster. And so they presented it as the way that people would perceive it.
Yeah.
Sort of like in history, like you would say, oh, people, I've seen flying saucers. Well, they don't know what that is. So they're going to base it off of whatever their minds can, extrapolate what they're seeing. Like, but yeah. And they're downstairs and you hear, and they're like, what the hell?
You're a
like,
lone star.
Like he's still here, and they go up there and the build up to that. It was badass, dude.
And they should have kept that tone every time, you would, have Batman there. He would always be scaring the shit out of the people, and that would have been great.
I thought his relationship with him and Alfred was really good. I thought they had a really good chemistry with one another, and they sort of like had this resentment towards each other, but it was all for love because they've been through so much shit together.
Yeah.
So,
I thought that Jeremy Irons was one of the greatest Alfreds we've had.
Yeah. And, it was really good. Like I said, I still love Batman vs Superman. Obviously we're talking about some of the things that we would change of it, but overall though, I love the movie.
Yeah.
I think it was really good, and it's been 10 years, and we'll see. I highly doubt we'll ever get to see a Justice League Part 2, but fingers crossed on sometimes miracles do happen when we got Justice League Part 1, but we'll see. But overall though, 10 years of Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition. I love it. Great movie. One of my favorite movies in my collection of all movies that I've seen. Definitely check it out if you haven't watched it yet. Also, make sure you only watch the Ultimate Edition. Don't watch the theatrical.
Agreed.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That's going to do it for this episode of Nerd Up. I want to thank Ryan for coming out here and dropping a fire stream on this newest episode. Next week, we're going to go back into the world of... Unless something big comes up, we're going to go back into the world of Star Wars, where we're going to talk about how we would fix The Last Jedi. Just straight up The Last Jedi. If we were made the directors of that movie, how we would fix that movie.
And we will definitely change it from being named The Last Jedi. So it will not be The Last Jedi. How would we make episode 8?
Episode 8.
Episode 8 didn't exist.
Exactly. Guys, that's going to do it for the show. If you want to support this channel, make sure you hit that join button right below the screen over here, and that's how you become a member of the channel. That's the best way to support the channel. Smash the join button, become a member, and we'll see you again next week for an all-new episode of Nerd Up. And, of course, go to zebracomics.com and check out the Nephilim, the indie comic that Ryan has developed. And support the Nephilim over on zebracomics.com. From Ryan, from myself, I want to thank everyone who came out today.
Yes.
Everyone's watching at home. BVS, 10 years, badass movie. Restore the SnyderVerse. I'm just going to say it. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.